Welcome back. This is Dr. Irene Blinston with part 2 of Miracles Kept Secret, Breaking the Silence About Childhood Supernatural Encounters. Last week, I talked about research that I had conducted pertaining to adults recollecting their experiences as children. And the break-in age was, anywhere up until 12 years old. And today, I'm going to be sharing the stories of 12 of those, or 13 actually, of those participants, because they completed they did a piece of art, and they also wrote an autobiography about their experience. 23 participants qualified, which was really hard to do, I must say. And I had a call out around the world, literally, for participants, and 23 did qualify. Now, all of them completed the questionnaire that I had online, but only 13 went on to write the autobiography, produce the art. What I had them do is produce art first, because these particular types of experiences, any kind of encounter experience really, but with this, it's a religious apparition. It can be Judeo-Christian is what I had, because I really had it narrowed down because I wanted to get it done and be able to graduate. So what I have today is I'm sharing with you a brief excerpt from what the participants shared about their experience in their autobiographies. But first, I had them do art. Because of the ineffability of these experiences, and responding like with linear language, it's not easy to do. So I kind of just went past that, and I went into the artist part, or the creative mind, and had them do something nonverbal that would express their experience, whether it be the experience itself, or how they felt in the experience, or how they felt like the impact of the experience, so even afterwards. Now, what I did is I told them that they didn't have to do anything elaborate. I wanted it just to be simple. And if they wanted, I would send them a box of crayons and paper, and whatever color they kind of just first thought, whatever the color was that represented their experience, they could just take that crayon and they could, rub it on the paper, and that would be it. So I just made it so it was super simple for them to do. And then I had them take a digital picture of it and send it to me as an email attachment. So nobody really did that. I was kind of mind blown, because one is I gave them 3 weeks to turn it around, but I figured if they're just going to do crayons or whatever and just do a quick color on paper, I'd get it back pretty fast. But as you'll see as I go through these slides, that they didn't do that. They actually drew things or did art of some kind. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you. Barbara was, and I had them choose pseudonyms because I couldn't use their real names. And each person chose a pseudonym, and those that said, I don't care what it is, you just choose it, I chose the pseudonym for them. So the first person that I'm going to be talking about here is Barbara. Barbara was 52 years old at the time of the research, which I conducted this research in 2004, 2005, just the very beginning of 2005, because I graduated that June. And at the time of her experience, she was 7 years old, and she was non-Indigenous American. And why I'm describing them that way is because I am looking at the culture. So she grew up in the United States, so the American culture. And I'm choosing non-Indigenous because I do have one Indigenous participant that's in here. She was raised as a Protestant, but at the time of the research, she had no religion, or she had a spiritual practice, but no religion. And she described her experience in this way. It was about 8 a.m. or so. I was going from one classroom to another in a private Methodist school in Southern California. Again, remember, she was 8 years old when she had this experience. There was no one else in the breezeway but me. Then I saw a man standing in front of me. He was wearing a long white robe with a purple sash. He had big blue eyes, white long hair, and a beard. He was like a breath of everything good you ever wanted in your life: total fulfillment, joy, comfort, and contentment. He spoke to me, but he did not speak through his mouth. He spoke to me through thoughts. He told me his name was Abraham. He told me many things. Then he reached out and touched my forehead with the tip of his index finger. Without a word, through touching me on my head, I felt as if I was filled with love. And this was the art piece that she created. So I also asked about disclosure, and I wanted to know if they disclosed. And she did as a child. She said, I told my father. He got angry and told me and took me out of the Methodist school that I was in, and I never went back. The next participant was Morgan. She was 43 years of age at the time of the research, and she was 11 years old when she had her experience. She was a non-Indigenous New Zealander. She was raised Protestant, and at the time of the research as an adult, she had no religion. She wrote of her experience. I was in my bedroom, in bed, and reading my Bible. I think I was reading it aloud and maybe also praying at the same time. My memory is that suddenly everything went quite white. I could no longer see my surroundings, and I felt ecstatic. And God was talking to me in a language I couldn't understand. I started to speak in the same language, and this went on for quite a long time. In fact, there was no particular sense of time at all. I felt as if I had been doing this forever and would also carry on forever. When I think of it now, it was as if I was in another reality where my day-to-day life was simply irrelevant. For example, there were no thoughts of my mother returning home. There were no thoughts at all, just timeless beingness and ecstasy. And this was the picture that she created. And it's not as easy to see here, but she has a picture of Jesus in her lap here. And this book-looking thing, that's the Bible. And she also has showing that there's a light emanating. I asked if she had disclosed her experience, and she said yes. As an adult, she did. She said, I didn't seem to relate to everyday life, or it didn't seem to relate to everyday life, and I didn't think anyone would particularly understand. I can't remember having a problem keeping it to myself. So she did talk about it, but it was to her not as big of a deal. My next participant was Angel Polly. And the art that she created was an attempt to really express the light. She was 25 years old at the time of the research, and she was 4 years of age when she had her experience. She is Filipino. In the Philippines, her culture is Filipino. Her religious upbringing was Catholic, and she was still Catholic at the time of the research, but she also said she believes in all religions. She described her experience this way, and I'm reading verbatim from her autobiography, and keep in mind that English is her second language, or maybe even a third. So she said, me and my sister is scared because the room is very dark, and my mom asked me and my sister not to open the light, so save the electric power. And when me and my sister is in the bed, there's a light in our room near the window, and that light is getting stronger and stronger. I'm wondering that why there's a light in our room. Me and my sister is very scared at that time because we see a glittering white thing and wearing a beautiful glittering white clothes. And the face is blurred, but I can see the face is very perfect. And the feet is blurred, but I can see the feet and the two hands is just like praying. And that thing is looking at my sister and me, and that thing is standing at the top of us. And that thing is getting bigger and bigger. So my sister and I get a pillow and put it on, put it in our face because we don't know what's that thing, and have a very long white veil. Then after a few minutes, the light is getting blurred and smaller, and that white thing, just like Mama Mary, was disappeared. In the Philippines, they call the Virgin Mary Mama Mary. I asked her if she disclosed, and she said yes, she did as a child. I told it some of the priests and pastor. They always say that it is the devil's work. Now, she was like 4 years old. And one of the things that she said in her autobiography, which I thought was pretty profound for a child that age, when she had mentioned about, they said it was the devil's work. And she said at the time she was thinking, well, everybody's allowed their opinion. I thought that was awesome. She's just like, you're not going to make me not believe that this was something special, and that it, try to tell me it's the devil's work. And she went to several priests and to talk about it, but all of them were saying it was the devil's work. So she just didn't talk about it with them anymore. And that's when she was saying, well, everybody's, allowed their opinion. So she just went on without really sharing the experience.